Well, going back to that report at the top of the program, we touched on how women can be disproportionately affected by Ebola. Well, one person who knows a lot on this subject is Yasmin Jusu-Sheriff, a human rights lawyer who's been working with Banbury, who we saw in that report, to raise the gender face of the virus. Yasmin joins us in the studio now. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Explain to me why women are so vulnerable.
Thank you very much, Charles. I think the vulnerability of women comes really from their traditional roles, because this is a situation in which the health workers are disproportionately affected. And by that, when you say health workers, of course, you mean the people who are working officially as nurses and as doctors in the health systems. But also we have to remember that as women, we are the traditional caregivers. So therefore, women are also the first responders. They have to first look after people when people fall ill at home. And in most of our countries, in the most affected countries, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia, we find that because the health systems have not been working, it is the women at home who are providing the bulk of the care. And we know from the figures that the people who are most likely to be infected and to die are women. Are the health workers, and so in that way we are disproportionately affected. Now,
knowing that fact, what's being done to deal with it?
Well, as women activists, particularly in Sierra Leone, where I come from, back in June, we, as women, came together because we, at first, were a bit hesitant. We thought the government must be onto this. You know, the Mana River Union, which is the union of the four countries, must be onto this. But we noticed that in everything that they were doing, that women were invisible. I noted that earlier on, you had a poster on the wall about the symptoms of Ebola. And if you look at that poster, you will see that all those people represented on that poster are men. When I joined the social mobilization
see, we don't notice things like
that,
yes, but you do.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely we do. You know, and we raised it in the social, in the task force and said, why are all these pictures of men?
Well, it really should be women, shouldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Because, it means that women perhaps illiterate people get to think, oh, well, maybe this is an illness for men. And then when you talk about the hospitals, you see the posters they do about go to the hospital for care. Everybody in the picture is a man. But in reality, the people that you will meet in the health center are women. And it's very important. So we started to raise issues, to go to the government and say, listen, you have to give a priority and a face to this disease.
And is that part of what your organization, Wrestle, does?
Yes. I mean, Wrestle is a campaign, Women's Response to Ebola in Sierra Leone campaign, and it brings together about 20 or almost 20 women's organizations all across the country. And, we are coming together because we know that we have something to contribute. We are coming out of the experience of the peace movements during the war. We know that the women across the 3 countries of the Mana River Union worked together to bring an end to the war, and that is recognized and documented. But what we have found that in the time since the war and in the peacetime, that women have been marginalized. And so therefore we thought we need to step up and speak out and do something for ourselves. All over the world, people are talking about Bob Geldof is doing this, Princess this is doing this, this person is giving, this person is doing that. And people, yesterday, in fact, I heard on the radio, someone was saying, what are the people in those countries doing? And I think that I really appreciate this opportunity to say that the women in the countries are doing a lot.
I think it's just the timing, isn't it? The timing of this disease is bad for countries like Sierra Leone, and Liberia, coming off the back of terrible civil wars, with all their institutions pretty much decimated, and then suddenly you've got this epidemic, hitting. I mean, so it wasn't the most auspicious time, if you like, for this to have hit.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not the most auspicious time, but it's never going to be an auspicious time for us to have this kind of a problem.
Now, of course, you've got a human story to tell that directly affects you, because, I mean, you're normally based in Sierra Leone, but you can't go back there at the moment. Tell us why.
Well, I left Freetown on the 31st of July. Hoping to go to a conference in the US for a few days and then to visit my kids who are at university there. And I arrived in Washington to be told that a state of emergency had been declared and that British Airways had cancelled all their flights to Sierra Leone. They said they would give us some more news at the beginning of September when I was supposed to go back to Freetown. In September, they tell us, oh, we've cancelled all the flights until March. We can give you
March next year?
March next year, 2015.
Wow.
And I traveled away for 1 month. And they said, oh, yes, we can give you a refund on your ticket, $300, and you can buy a new ticket from SN Brussels or Air Maroc for $1,500. You know, here I am, a lawyer. I've got 2 kids in university in the U.S. Then, you know, I'm not working. Nothing is working. As, you know, we service the commercial, you know, the business community. There's no work going there. I call my clerk and he says to me, no, ma, nobody has been here today. The only people who've been here are just asking if you're here because they want to ask you if you can help them. So if I have $1,500, to be honest, I have better things to do with it than to, you know...
So you're marooned at the moment?
So I'm marooned here, but I'm using the time as best as I can.
Well, we're glad you're still around, because that means, of course, that you can come into the studio. But, I mean, as well as women being vulnerable, doctors and health workers are also vulnerable, as you pointed out. And that includes, of course, that late Nigerian doctor, Dr. Stella Adadevoh. How risky is it? And how much difference have people like that doctor actually made?
I never knew Dr. Stella, but I think she sounds like she was a wonderful person. And she was a woman who was really an African feminist, which is what we all seek to be. She was ready to step up and to do the right thing. I think that without Dr. Stella, the situation with Ebola would have been completely different, not just for Nigeria, not just for us in the 3 countries, but all for the entire globe. Because if she hadn't been ready to take responsibility and to do her job and to be aware and to be concerned, we wouldn't really, you know, we would be talking a different story now. So I think that in our group in Sierra Leone, we've been exchanging on emails about her. We understand that the Nigerian government is saying that they cannot give her an award posthumously, but we are going to move, you know, we are writing to the African Union for them to give her an award because she's a real, you know, she's probably the most influential person in the world for 2014 because she saved the world from catastrophe. If Nigeria had got this, it would have been terrible.
Yasmin, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.
We appreciate that very much.